Oh, see, LaShanda is absolutely fabulous. I'm so excited that she's here to talk to you guys today. We are going to get some wonderful words of wisdom from LaShanda, just kind of kicking off the Back to Business conference here. So I'm going to make sure that you have everything that you need and everyone that you need. She needs to be a part of your circle, okay? So definitely follow LaShanda on Facebook and Twitter, on YouTube, wherever she is. You need to be there. Today, LaShanda Cross is going to be talking about how to turn your message into a movement. Absolutely fabulous. I'm not even going to introduce her. I'm going to let her take the reins now and let you guys know what everything is all about. So, LaShanda, let's get started.
Hello, ladies and gents. I don't know if we have any gentlemen on the line, but hello. I'm excited. I see that you guys are hyped up. So thank you so much for this opportunity, LaShanda. This is amazing that you were able to put such fabulous women together. You are fabulous yourself. And I know those that are on the line are just ready to get activated and empowered and inspired moving forward. So do I just go all in, just go in just now?
Absolutely. Jump in. Let everybody know what you've got.
Sure, great. Okay, so I'm LaShanda Cross. I am the best-selling author of The Road to Redemption. My first book was Corporate Mom Dropouts, and that's what really helped me to leverage the platform that I have today. I started out as a virtual marketing assistant in 2006. That's when I took the corporate jump and said I have had enough, and I had written my letter of resignation and have never turned back since then. I have 3 children. I am a wife of 1, a mother of 3, no pets. But, you know, one thing that I'm here to talk about is just turning your message into a movement, and how I was slowly, and I'm on the grind. I'm still on the grind. LaShanda said the other day in the email, you know, I just don't know how you do it with all of the traveling and everything. But it takes teamwork, and it's more so the back end. And once you identify what your message is and you are able to get clear on who needs to hear it, you'll see how opportunities have been there all along, and it's just a matter of you showing up with the right message at the right time for the right people. And a lot of times I tell this story from the stage. I say, you know, I had, you know, when I first started my business, I went from coach to coach. I felt like I needed this one, that one. They told me I needed to act like this one, I needed to be that one. And I said, you know, I don't want a Lisa Nichols sound. I don't want an Iyanla Vanzant look. I don't even want, you know, as wonderful as she is, I'll take her money, but I don't want the Oprah Winfrey, you know, anointing. I want what's for LaShanda, because there's people who are waiting to hear my story. They're waiting to hear what I bring to the table. And so that's what makes the difference. God has created one Oprah, one Lisa Nichols, one Jack Canfield. And so how can you show up as that one in your life? Right, and so one thing that I didn't do, I don't have slides for you, because it's important for you to write down, take notes, and meditate on this information later on. Meditate on, what is my message? I'm successful in business, but what is my message? I'm doing what I'm called to do, but what is my message? Who needs to hear it and why? And that's what's important. Who needs to hear it and why? So I don't want you to have any distractions right now. Just kind of settle in. Pull out your, what I call a handy-dandy notebook. Got that from Blue's Clues. You can tell I'm a mom. But pull out your notebook and make sure that you have you have each topic and each title of each presenter that's coming to the table. Because as we kick off turning our message into a movement, everybody's going to deposit seeds on how you can really expand that brand and that signature message that you have inside of you. So let's get started. Let's look at your story. Let's look at the origin of where you come from and how and what story you need to use. So for me, I battled with many different stories that I could share. I could share, you know, becoming a corporate mom dropout. And what I did was I interviewed over 200 women, because I wanted to find out, you know, is there a secret to success for moms? Is there a secret to success for, you know, women who are in corporate America and they're dying and they're literally bleeding because they don't see their children or their families, and they're sick, physically sick at times, and mentally ill? There was times where I was taking 2-hour lunch breaks, coming in 2 hours late and still had an attitude about it. So that was a sign that it was time for me to leave. So that's one story. Then it's the story of pursuing my passion. How many of us know, and you could just put yes in the chat room, how many of us know what it's like when you decide to take that leap, or that leap of faith, or take that step that you was afraid to take, and then all of a sudden it's like the world crumbles down, and you're like, hey, what happened? What happened? So, for me, that's what happened. I decided to take that leap in my business, to go from having a side hustle to really pursuing it full time. And what happens? I become a single mom. I'm in a bad relationship. I was, making many sacrifices, not for myself, but just to say, this is for the kids. I'll go through this for the kids, and always pushing me to the side, when really if I focused on what I needed, what LaShanda needed, it would have been better for everybody and even for the children. So I made the leap from my job. I made the leap from the relationship that I was in. I had 2 small children at that time. So that's one story, being a single mom, walking away, making sacrifices after you left your job and you need that second income because there's no 2-week check coming in. So that's another story that I can tell. Did that tap into some people? Absolutely. Did it touch the masses in the way that my story and message is now? Absolutely not, because that's a part of me and it's a part of my stepping stones, but it's not the true, authentic story that will pull at the people who's waking up screaming and sweaty in the midnight hour. And that's what we have to look at. What's that message for that person, for that young girl, for that young boy who's waking up screaming and sweaty in the midnight hour? Yes, moms were waking up screaming and sweaty saying, hey, I don't want to go to work. I can't take it anymore. Yes, there's some women saying, you know what, he didn't come home last night. I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. But that wasn't my story to share. So as I started to pursue, and are you still with me? Are you still with me now? I have this New York talk. We're talking a New York minute. I want to make sure you got it. You got it? I see some yeses. I see some amens. All right, good. So, as I was pursuing my entrepreneurial journey, and this is all part of moving your message into a movement, I started to see a certain level of success. I sought out and I had a wonderful mentor that I sat under for 4.5 years. Right, and so watching him from the stage, I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to talk to women and really impact lives so that I'm not only transforming them and their business, but at least 5 generations, right? And how do you do that? How do you do that? You embrace you hear this word, your authenticity. So for me, I was on stages after being coached and mentored by my mentor and watching the information that he shared from the stage to his audience. And I decided to be one of his best clients, right? Because a lot of his clients, they didn't write the books. They didn't tell the story. They hid behind the drama. They hid behind the pain, and they threw pity parties for it. Some were successful, but some still had a low self-worth, right? So with all the money, they still had low self-worth. So I wanted it all. I wanted to know, can I have it all? And it boiled back into the authenticity. So now I start speaking on stages, and I go all over different states, different conferences, women's groups, ministries, and I'm talking about being authentic. Authenticity, but what does that really mean for LaShanda? Because I was impacting lives, but was I changing the generations behind the generations? And what I mean by that is that if you can, and there's this organization, they have a conference, Heal a Woman, Heal a Nation. I truly believe that. So if I can help to show you how to become empowered and embrace your creativity and to step out there to have a powerful yes and a strong no, then you'll be able to teach your daughter that. You'll be able to teach your son that. They'll be able to teach their kids that. What happens when we break a chain? But if I'm not authentically standing up on stage, being unapologetically me, not caring about what someone has to say about my true story, then I'm blocking someone else's blessings and I'm blocking my own. So I had to think about what is my story, what is my message, and why do I need to tell it? And it was nudging me and nudging me and nudging me. I was on TV shows, radio, the news, Black Enterprise, you name it, I was there, but I was living in fear because the greater I started to see my brand get exposed, the more I wanted to hide behind my true message on what really gave me the strength to be LaShanda, the activator. The real strength came from the story of being 18 years old and in college and then going to federal prison. That's the real story. But I was hiding and running from it. Literally, I did not want anyone to pull up a mugshot, a picture of me going in. I didn't want any of that. I didn't want the newspaper clippings on being a part of this cartel that I had no idea of. I didn't want the past to haunt me. I wanted to erase that. But that was where the power was. In those 4.5 years that I spent, and you see the correlation. You see 4.5 years in prison, and then you see coming out and having 4.5 years being mentored, right? That transition, that processing. So here we go. 4.5 years in federal prison is what molded the young LaShanda to become a mature young adult, to have her 18-year-old birthday inside, her 21st-year-old birthday inside, while everybody else is out there drinking, having a ball, sliding around, doing whatever, going to, the college. I was inside learning what I needed, learning how to be strong, learning how to have hope in a hopeless place, learning how to be a grown woman as a child, right, because I've made certain decisions. So learning how to communicate with women that I did not want to talk to. I didn't want to talk to women. When I went in, it was, I only want 2 friends, and I was boasting about just having a couple of friends. I was young and immature, but I had to grow up extremely fast in that time to understand that there's no mommy, there's no running home, there's no pat on the back, there's no guidance counselor, and there's no one that you can sit down and talk to and they take notes and tell you how you feel. This is just you and God. So my message came from that point. It came from that strength, not being a corporate mom dropout, not being a single mom leaving a bad relationship, not, on the hustle grinding. Those are all great. But what the women in my movement needed to hear was, how do you pull on your strength when you don't even have it, when you don't even feel like you have any? Where do you find the strength to push forward? And it started to manifest in my business. How to use that same strength as an 18, 19-year-old in another state, in Chicago, away from my family, have to ask to make phone calls, have to ask to use the bathroom, have to get permission to, so I had all permission of freedom taken away so that when I come out to show women how to be free while they're free. So when I came home to see that women were still incarcerated and they were free, it disturbed me. But that was the moment that I met my purpose face to face. That's the moment that I met my movement. So whatever your story is and whatever your message is, how does it impact the lives for not one generation but 2? So if I'm able to change and transform and free one woman's vision, then she'll find it okay she'll be free. Happy mommy, happy home. When everybody in this house knows, I have a husband and he's the king, but happy mommy, oh, the house is happy. Everybody's happy. We're having a ball. But if I can help transform and free that one woman so that she can stop thinking about herself and understand that she has a powerful message that's connected to a movement, and guess what? That movement starts in your own home. I had to change and transform the relationship I had with my mother, regain her trust, restore that love. Then I had to understand how to nurture my own daughter for things that I didn't receive from my mother, that it's okay, and how do you operate? How do you spread love? How do you pour into your daughter instead of showing her how to be tough, tough, tough? That was my mother. I'm the oldest of 3 brothers. Be tough, 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 tough. So when I went away, I was fine. They're yelling, they're screaming, you can't do this. I was like, okay, my mama did that. I'm the oldest of 3, so most of my permissions were taken away. But the drastic part was being surrounded by a group of women, some that acted like my mother, that I did not like. Some acted like friends from around the way, some jealousy, and you name the characteristic, I had to face it every day. And I had to learn how to cope with it. Why? Because those were the same women on the outside that I needed to use that same maturity, that same message to free them so that we can begin to free the generations behind them. So the movement starts within your home. I transformed my relationship. I changed and transformed my mindset and my heart so that I can love on my daughter and not resent the fact that me and her father didn't work out, and I have to struggle and make it work for her, and I have to sacrifice for her and my son. So those kind of things is the reason why your message, finding that message, finding what I call your sweet spot is important. So there's a lot of stories out there. You could pick up any book. Some women talk about domestic violence. There's nothing wrong about it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, it's over. What I'm saying here when it comes to domestic violence, if you're talking about your story, talk about it from a place of power and not pain. Talk about how you were able to pack your stuff. How did you get your strength to pack your stuff? Not the fact that you kept going home every day and the arguments you had, because women don't want to relive that in their own lives. I don't go and sit there and talk to women who are incarcerated and say, girl, you remember what those shackles feel like? Remember every time they had to give you slap? Remember what it was like when you was being transported from one place, from prison to the next prison? And, remember what that black box and the cuffs and the shackles felt like being shackled to? I didn't go through that. What's the power in the story? That I was able to connect with my sisters, that I was able to gain a certain womanhood, a certain maturity from me and respect, understanding my self-worth and my value to say that I will never allow anyone, anybody, anything to hold me down and hold me back ever again. And so I want, when you look at your story, whatever you feel that your sweet spot is, the thing that can change that person who's waking up screaming and sweaty and saying, I need to change my life. Because people are not waking up screaming and sweaty saying, woo, I need empowerment. They're not saying that. At least I know I didn't say that. I said, okay, I need some money. My lights is about to be turned off. I have all of these gifts, talents, and skills and abilities. I'm full of potential. Where's the money? Where's the prosperity? But what I needed to understand was how to value my message, how to value my story, and understand that I deserve to be compensated because I bring value to the table. So, and once that happened, my message became a movement. Once I began to value my message and wasn't afraid to tell it, but was able to tell it from a place of power and a place of strength, my whole life changed. Doors opened up that I couldn't even imagine. Opportunities opened up that I couldn't even imagine. I was speaking on stage, and instead of my legs shaking or wondering if I'm going to see one of my old buddies from MCC or from federal prison, just wondering and wandering all the time, I was free. I was free to share that story, and women from all walks of life, from all financial classes, started to walk up and say, Lucinda, I have a past very similar to yours. I just made it through, or, hey, I spent 2 days in there, and I don't know how you did it. But women that you would never imagine that I see on TV every day, that I see on the cover of magazines, walked up, sent me messages, emails, wrote me letters to say, Lucinda, I'm glad that you shared your story because I'm not strong enough to share that about myself. But that may not be the thing they need to share, right? It may not be the thing they need to share. So I want you to look at your story. What do you need to say that would help more people and that would help you to live your ultimate lifestyle? What is that story and what is that message? So the first thing that I did, and I hope I still have time because I could talk. I'm a speaker and I love to talk. So let me know, LaShanda, if we're on point. Okay, I'm assuming so because she didn't say anything in the chat. Okay, I'm good. So the first thing that I did with my story, and I want you to write this down, like I said, who needs to hear it? Who's the person that's waking up screaming and sweaty that you need to talk to? Is it a teenage girl? Is it a teenage boy? Is it a pastor? Is it a church? Is it schools? Is it single mothers? Is it women in domestic violence shelters? Is it cancer survivors? Who needs to hear your message? That's number one. And have you been sharing that message so far? Have you been sharing that message, or have you fallen into the trap of the coaching cycle, doing what everybody's telling you that you need to do, when really you just need to be free? I gave that up. I said, I don't need to do anything else anymore. Don't tell me what I need to do anymore. Now, I'm very coachable, very teachable, and I follow instructions. But one thing I realized when you're when you're building a movement versus a business, you have structures. When you're building a movement, that comes from the heart. And that's when you are radical about what you believe in. So what is your message? And is it talking to that person that's waking up screaming and sweating? That's number one, is the what. Number two is who. Who needs to hear it? Who needs to hear it and why? Why do they need to hear it? Why should that 10-year-old need to hear that story? Why should that pastor that cheated on his wife need to hear that story? Why should that that young woman in college need to hear that about the STDs and the time that you was sliding down the pole? I mean, let's keep it real. Some of us have some serious past, but you can free a nation by freeing yourself and getting over yourself. So what do they need to hear and why? Now, I haven't slid it down the pole. If you're saying, oh, man, is that the next story for LaShanda? No, that's not for me. If you did, okay. But, you know, depending on what you need to say, who needs to hear it, and why do they need to hear it? What is it going to stop them from doing? What can it help them start to do? How can they begin to reflect on themselves and look at their situations and maybe change their life, which will in turn change their children's life? So we have to think in terms of whether you're building your business or creating a movement. Come from the heart. Make sure you're tapping into the who and the why, because that heart movement is what makes you radical. So I just finished having, and we have 5 points, so we're at number 2 if you're following. So I just had my Activate conference September 20th. Amazing, amazing conference, not just because it was my conference, right, not just because I put my brand and stamp on it, but because I had to push through many obstacles and challenges to get there. So all last year, I did a mini tour to connect with women from the stage, because you see me on stage and then you see me off stage and that's it. Well, people like to have connection, and I know that I like to have connection. Show me you're touchable. Show me you're relatable. Show me that there's some type of connection. And I can actually hear you and learn from you without spending $10,000, $20,000, right? So I did a mini tour, and then September 20th is the day that was supposed to be like a big family reunion where the women that I've met, connected with online and offline, we were going to meet each other and just completely activate. In the process of planning, and this is the reason why I'm telling you, you have to push yourself out of the way when it comes to this message and movement. Because in the process of planning this conference, right smack dab in the middle, the woman that I love the most in the whole entire world dies. My mother, she passes away on May 8th on vacation in a beautiful island in Anguilla. And you know, she was there for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. She was there for 5 days. On her 5th day is the day that she took her last breath. She wasn't sick. She wasn't ill. This wasn't a trip, you know, let me just get away from the family and do what I need to do, because nope, none of that. I seen her the Friday that she left. We talked. We had a good conversation. She told me, LaShanda, I support you. I support you. I support you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And on Wednesday morning, I'm sitting in the dentist's office, and I was thinking about her the night before. Just couldn't wait for her to come home and tell her, you know, Les Brown is on board, and, you know, Black Enterprise is on board. Couldn't wait to tell her the great news about the conference planning process, because she was a part of the whole thing. I get a call that she took her last breath from a bleeding heart. And that's when life literally, you know, I'm going to try not to cry. That's when life literally showed me, LaShanda, go back to 18 years old. Go back to the lessons that you've learned. And how can you push forward from this point? You grieve, but you got to keep moving. You grieve, but you got to keep moving. You use that pain to fuel power. And I had to keep telling myself that every single day. So that's why the what, the who, and the why is important, because there's somebody, you don't know, there's somebody there. You don't know when you're going to take your last breath. You don't know who's going to take their last breath. But if they can make a significant change because of something that you're doing, how awesome is that, to report back to God and say, hey, God, that's checked off. I'm reporting for duty. So I'm telling you this story because in your process, it's not going to be easy. You're not going to have all the money that you want sometimes. You're not going to even have all the clients you need. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're working for people that you don't even like just because you know you need to pay your insurance, right? There's drastic tragedies that can happen in between the process of you moving your movement and going higher. So when that happened and I knew that I had to keep moving forward with this Activate conference, that was even more devastating for me, but it gave me something to push my pain through. So when you look at your who and your why, it's because you have to push past the pain of your story and the stories that's going to come, because life is going to continue to try you. That's what it's here for, to continue to push you to the limits. And of course we can say, oh my gosh, God, are you serious? But he said he's not going to give us more than we can bear. And so we have to push forward and push past. Even when things are looking great, there could be something so tragic that can hit you. But that does not give you the right to throw in the towel. You do not have permission to give up. You do not have permission to say, I can't take it anymore. You have no choice but to keep going. Why? Because your life depends on it, and so does somebody else's. Right? And so let's go to the next thing. Number 3, you got the what, the who, and the why. The next thing is your cause. So I was challenged with a cause for my own brand with Activate. You know, what cause am I going to follow? What cause? Let's take a breather. Let's, everybody stop. Take a deep breath. I know it's not a conference, but so what? It's a virtual conference, right, LaShanda? So let's stop. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lots of energy, lots of thoughts going on in your head, lots of things going on for myself. All right, let's go. Number 3 is the cause. So during my branding, I was thinking about a cause. What cause can I connect with? I always believe that you have to tie your message and your movement into a cause. Don't just go out there just doing stuff just to do it. Les Brown said, you don't do what you feel. You do what you know. So based on a cause that I was looking for, you know, how can I find a cause? What cause should I follow? So what we found out in my family, before my mother passed, a couple of months before that, we found out that there's heart disease that's running in the line of the women, just knocking them out. I don't claim it, but it's just knocking them out. And that's what my mother died from as well. She died from a bleeding heart called aortic dissection. And so my aunt, the year before that, I mean, it's just crazy how things have been happening in the women's line. So there goes my cause. You know, so not just to have a message, but why should people connect with me? Because I have a cause, because I'm not being selfish with this thing, because it's not just about me, but there's someone else who's going through heart disease. There's the American Heart Association that I connect with. It just so happens that my brand is all red. As you see, if you go on any of my sites, LaShandaCross.com, my Twitter, everything, I have a whole bunch of red everywhere. A fire type of person. And so my cause and American Heart Association is red, just really just mended together, and it worked out. And, you know, months, like last year, 2012, I connected with the American Heart Association, and I said, you know what? Let's do a vision board party in the shape of a heart, and we're going to, you know, just to give them something to look forward to, those who are battling with heart attacks, strokes, heart disease, things like that. Let's create a vision board that they can pass down to their families. And so the one thing that we did for my mother, we created a vision board, but we did it on a canvas, and she didn't create hers. And I dread that I didn't have her do her own. But we had all of the kids do one for her. But, you know, just connecting with them a year prior to do that vision board, and now having to call them up to say, oh, man, you know, this has happened to me. Because the conversation that I had with them on the phone was, you know, I've heard that I have heart disease in the family. Haven't been impacted by it close. I did have an aunt who passed, but now I'm calling them and saying, okay, the show stops. The one closest to me, the one I love near and dear, the one that put me on this earth is no longer here. And, you know, how can I dive into this? So find a cause that you can connect your message to, not only because it is financially beneficial for you, but it's also a give back for them. So financially beneficial, I'm able to take my book and my next book and have American Heart Association put their stamp on it. To have sponsors now want to be a part of my upcoming conferences because it's a cause connected to it. Lucinda's just not talking to talk. Now my message has substance. Now I'm not just standing on the stage to say, hey, I'm on, you know, I'm doing a tour or I'm speaking at this event, but hey, I would like to spread the message on how important it is even just to take a walk every day to keep your heart pumping, or how to make sure that you really embrace every day differently as if it was your last, right? And that makes a significant difference in my message and my business now than how I operated. That situation happening with my mother changed my outlook on life, period. I don't know. I think I was in la-la land and caught up in what I needed. Now, whether I blog 5 times a week or not doesn't matter. Now, whether I put up 20 videos or not, it doesn't matter. Now, whether I look brand tight online or not doesn't matter. What matters is who needs to hear my message, why, and what is the cause. How am I making a difference every single day? Because I don't know when it's going, whether it's going to be their last day or mine. It put an urgency on life for me. And so, no, I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off, but it's given me my message and my brand meaning, a powerful meaning and a powerful purpose on why I do what I do, because it's a heart matter and it's coming from love, and it's because I refuse to die of a bleeding heart. I refuse to die of a bleeding heart. So while I'm pumping, while you're pumping, we have no other choice but to go to the root of it. We have to leave the little inconsistencies and stop getting upset about the little inconsistencies of what worked, what didn't work, who paid and who didn't pay. Right now it's, so what matters? Write that down. So what matters? And that's what's important. A lot of times we get caught up in a little inconsistencies. Well, I don't have this, and I don't have a freebie, and I don't have this kind of product, and, I need to get more of this. The only thing you need to get more of is yourself out there. That's it. We hide behind the truth. We hide behind our stories. Sometimes we hide behind this computer. Get out there and do something. That's the cause. That's the cause. Find out where people are connecting. If it's domestic violence, well, what is a cause of domestic violence? Depression. There's places that you can go where women are having groups that you can bring your life to say, hey, I've dealt with this. I went through depression. There's don't be afraid to go into the mental institution sometimes for these young girls. Go in there and share your message. Why not? Why shouldn't a 16-year-old know that she's capable of starting a business and starting her life over? Why should you just sit there and hold on to the story of how you used to, dance for $1 and now you're really working hard for that dollar and how it did something different to your value? Why shouldn't they hear about how, you cheated and you lied and now how you transformed and transitioned? So there's someone out there who needs to know that they can do it too, that there is hope in a hopeless place. And so that's where the cause is. That's where the cause. So the what, the who, the why, the cause, and what's next. What's next for you? So I had to think about, okay, these things are happening, but what's next? I have my message. I've been telling it from the stage. I'm connecting with women differently than how I have been before. Now they're not seeing me as a person on a stage, and now I'm in the green room, and she's untouchable, and, buy her $10,000 program. Now women want to connect with me because of me. Now I'm the brand, and it doesn't matter about the 20,000 videos or the blog posts that I put, and all that's fine. I don't, I'm a marketing strategist, so I'm all for all of that. But where's the meaning? Now women are connecting to me because they want meaning in their life, and that's connected to the what's next. What's next is the profitability. What's next is living the lifestyle that you desire. What's next is saying, you know what, I'm not waiting to take that vacation in December. I'm going to do it next week. Why not? I have the money. My mother died, and everything that she had, she couldn't use any of it, and she lived like that. And I would say, oh, Ma, come on, you just ball out of control. You're just so free with it. She's like, because, baby, I can't take none of this stuff with me. And whatever's left, you and your brothers got, but, I'm trying to enjoy life now. And I didn't understand that because I came from a place of lack. So what's next for you is to look at your old limiting beliefs. Is it lack that's holding you back? Lack about finances, lack of information on how to be a good steward, on how to increase your money. One thing that I was challenged with, and I had to get a wealth coach for it, is not to tell me what to do, but to give me more information. Is, okay, I'm great at making the money, But now, how do I make this thing grow and still enjoy life at the same time? Because I'm balling out like my mom. I just looked and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to plan a vacation for me and my husband, and I'm going to have to sneak him because he's a workaholic. So I'm going to have to sneak it to him and tell him, you know what? Hey, hon, if we were going on vacation, what would you pack up? Like, what's your thing? Like your shorts and your skippies, what? So I can pack it, and next time he tells me to drive him to work, I'm going straight to the airport, and I'm telling my brothers, listen, you guys are on babysitting duty for the next 2 days. So because life is short. Life is short, and LaShanda Henry is doing a wonderful job by bringing these women together to show you how to maximize on your life, to maximize on your potential, to maximize on your power, right? How awesome is that? It makes dollars and it makes sense all at the same time. So what's next is, where is the money? Where is the money? How can you begin to monetize your intellectual capital? The things that you've cried about, the things that you've prayed about, the things that you've studied, all of the workshops. I spent over $50,000, $60,000 in just information. Some stuff I got to dust off my shelf. Some stuff is still in boxes in storage. But I said, you know, at some point we have to be willing to use this information. And at some point we have to say, enough of being an information junkie. Let me go into action. Right, let me go into action. I've gathered enough information. If I buy another product, you know, and do nothing about it. Because here's the thing, a lot of times it's not the coaches and it's not the products. It's you. You're on information overload. You need to let go. Your what's next is to make the money. Your what's next is to go out there and get it. You want clients, go get clients. You want money, go make some money. You know, so it's nothing that's stopping you. Nothing is stopping you. The death of my mother, it did not stop. It put a pause on the planning process, but that pause while I'm planning a going home celebration, God had provided a team of over 24 women who are still by my side. If I say I'm going here, they're like, we're going here, with their kids and everything. They dropping it. They're dropping whatever they do, you know, because God has arrested them for the meaning and the purpose, because I fully stepped into it and said, I got it now. I got it. Life is much more deeper, but not that deep. It's not that deep. It's deeper than just kneeling at the altar and asking for forgiveness. It means getting up off the altar and going outside of the door saying thank you and walking out and going to help somebody else. Not preaching to somebody to where they want to walk away from me, but to where I'm pouring into someone to say, listen, this is your time. What are you waiting for? You can do it. I understand you have a black eye. I understand your lights just got turned off. I've been there. People want to hear the real deal. When they hear the real deal, you'll start getting cha-ching. If that's what, I mean, let's be real. We want meaning, but we need the money too. Okay, I can change a lot of lives with some money. The Activate Conference took a lot of my money and a lot of investment that I did not want to do. I would have preferred to take that money, go sit on somebody's beach, and just cry about my mama for the next however long. But it did. I had to cry during the day, will cry at night, wake up with froggy eyes, and write those checks. So it took meaning and it took some money. So let's keep it real. I want to tell my story. I want to turn my message into a movement, but where's the finances, because I'm tired of being broke. I know what it's like to have my car repoed. I know what it's like to have to run around to make sure that they don't catch me. I know what it's like to come out of the grocery store with a shopping cart full of groceries and there's no car, and the kid was like, Mommy, where you parked? And I said, oop, I don't remember. Let's take a cab. But I know the tow truck, Don Blow, took my car. I know that, right? So, you know, I know what it's like. And that's what women want to hear. They want to hear the real. How did you get there, LaShanda? How did you have, you know, where did these women, for me, for my first conference, the Activate Conference, close to 300 women in that mansion. It wasn't because I was walking around telling people the story, oh, feel sorry for me, my mom passed. It's because they seen the work that I put in and the labor I put in by stepping behind the computer, off of the computer, getting from behind the computer, going to their face to say, listen, let's activate and stop procrastinating. Before any of this happened, then for them to see the strength, then for them to hear the story. So a lot of those women didn't even know what my story was because it wasn't important. They just seen the movement. Many times we talk too much and we're not even doing any movement. Stop talking, start moving. Stop talking, start moving. That's what's next, is getting the money. When you start moving, you're able to see the opportunities, the financial opportunities, partnering up with TD Bank, understanding that they're looking to connect with more mom entrepreneurs, more women entrepreneurs, partnering up with United Way, partnering up with these other banks who have women initiatives, that you don't have to have a 40-page business plan. They're looking for meaning. They're looking for content. They're looking for somebody who's radical and die hard about what it is that they're doing. They're looking to say, well, what have you done for us to support you in this movement? For TD Bank to even say to them, for them to say in the last, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the conference, we'll sponsor you, was only because I was able to say, and this was a phone conversation. They didn't see me in my fancy suit or red bottom shoes. They didn't see me get out of my BMW. It was a phone call conversation and a simple email that I sent to them. This is who I am. This is what I'm having. I bank with you guys. I'm in good standing, okay? Wasn't always like that. Let's keep it real. I'm in good standing, and I would like other women to know the services that you've provided for me. Come and open up some accounts. You know what they said? No problem. We would love to sponsor. We would love to cater and write a check to cater to offset some of the costs. Now the conversation changed to, you know what, LaShanda, where you go, let us know, because we can sponsor you as a speaker. How hot is that? Just from telling the truth, just from being honest with them, from me not hiding. You go on my site, LaShandaCross.com, you see on my bio, I tell you where I came from. I'll tell you what I've been through, and then I tell you where I'm going. And that's what's important. T.D. Jake said, you know, I did what they said I did, but I'm not who they say I am. I'm not a convict. I'm not a con artist. I went to jail because I was transporting dope, didn't know at that time, but now I'm in a better position and I'm transporting hope. And I go from different countries. I go from different states. I'm on, you know, I get to have Black Enterprise be my sponsor, for him to stay from the stage that he has adopted me, Alfred Edmond Jr., he has adopted me as his mentee, to hear Les Brown pull me to the side at my conference and say, girl, you did this thing. You did this thing. I want to personally mentor you. Let's connect afterwards. I need you in my village. I've waited a decade to hear those words. A decade, but it didn't have to take that long. You know about the story with the children in the wilderness for 40 years, so it didn't have to take a decade. But this is when LaShanda decided to get out of her own way, embrace her story, and start moving and stop talking. Less talk, more action. And so the minute I embraced my story, I could have embraced that a long time ago. I know what I did at 18 years old. I know what happened when I came out and I wrote the book Corporate Mom Dropouts. You know, nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is that I embraced who I am unapologetically and didn't give a rat's butt. I'm not going to curse, because I love God. I've got to watch the mouth. The mouth is power. But didn't give a rat's butt what anybody in the audience had to say about it. Did not care. When you get to the point where I don't care what you think about my story, you're free. Because I would, what do you think about that? You know, what do you think about what I said? You know, I don't feel like I should have said that. Do you think I should have written that in the book? When God arrested me to write that book, The Road to Redemption, he said, LaShanda, you write the book, I'll make it a bestseller. I said, no way. This is part of the what's next, ladies. Number 4. You still with me? Number 4, put dollar signs next to the what's next. You still with me? So when God made me, when I was sitting up there praying on the book title and what to do next, and it was The Road to Redemption, Overcoming Life's Detours, Obstacles, and Challenges, and a roadmap popped in my head, and I was, you know, convicted to tell that story. I said, no way. And so, of course, I weaved in the story, but it's more of a self-reflection book on what you need to do. How do you feast on faith and fast on fear? How do you take a pit stop in life? How do you know when it's time to make a U-turn when you're not in alignment and you're really following somebody else's vision? You know, how do you know that you're on your path and not one of the great coaches like Allie Brown's or Stacia Pierce? How do you know that you're on your path? You know, without their information that they've gotten from somebody else, like Dan Kennedy or Jack Canfield. So I had to realign myself I had to listen to what God was telling me to do, so I understand the wealth and the more than enough that he has had for me up until this day. So this year was the first year that I've made six figures. I'm not a millionaire, but I made six figures in my business. Why? Because of the pain that pushed to power. Why? Because I had to get out of my own way in the years to come as I was growing. So I said, if that could happen in 2013, okay, I'm not looking at a 5-year plan. How can I make that double for 2014? How can I do that? So how much more do I need to expose? How much more do I need to get rid of mentally, the old beliefs? How much more do I need to let go and let God so that he can allow me to live in that land of more than enough and instead of the land of not enough? Because I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides on the good note, and I've been on both sides on the bad note. But this side feels a whole lot better, being truly me, who I was called to be, and creating a movement that I consider unstoppable. So the last one, when you look at your what, number one, what is your story? Number two, who and why? Who do you need to tell and why do they need to hear it? 3, what's the cause that can be connected to your story so that it's not just about you when you're standing on that stage and that you can use other people's money? Hello? You think I need to keep dipping into my husband's bank account? Not at all. Feels good when I can look at my PayPal card and say no. Look at my TD Bank personal and say no. When I can look at my LC Associates, the one that gets to activate money, and say, oh yeah, I could use this. I don't have to hide the bags from the mall anymore. This is me. I worked hard for this one. So the what's next is when you are able to embrace sponsors and connect with people, and people are willing to write that check or to buy your programs or to buy your book. How many authors are sitting there with books in the back of their trunk? That's not fun. I know what it's like trying to sell 2 books and I just have a little bit of enough gas just to get to the event. Let's keep it real. I know what it's like having that corporate mom drop out those books in the trunk, and I'm like, how am I going to get gas to get to this event? Well, I'm going to have to sell 3, 4 books to get some gas in here, and then sell another 3 books to pay, for the babysitter watching my kids. It's not a game out there. That's why you value what you bring to the table, because the minute you step out of your house, it's a cost. The minute I step out of my house, I had to pay Vanessa to get my hair done. I had to pay, somebody to watch my kids. Now it's even more than ever because I can't call mommy now. So now it's like my brothers, they're in their 20s. So they're just having a ball, right? They're having a ball with life in general. So they're not trying to watch 3 kids. So it's when you step out of your house, when you pick up that phone to consult somebody, when you share your message, you deserve to be compensated in some form or fashion. I'm not saying that people have to write you a check just because you're sharing it. LaShanda doesn't have to write me a check. She's not going to receive an invoice for this story. But man, you pay the cost to be the boss, right? I know that's right. You pay the cost to be the boss, so that's why we can't allow the freebies to get through. The freebies, which are really the naysayers, which are really sometimes, and I hate to use this word, but I'll use it now, the haters who just tolerate you and they don't celebrate you. Right now, I don't know about if I have any haters. I don't care because God has blessed me with a team that is completely blocking any negative energy or any negative vibe, any of it. So the only thing that I do see is my movement, and I'm focused on that. I don't have SOS, shiny object syndrome. So the last thing that I want you to do is to figure out how you're going to make 1, 2, 3, and 4 work for you. How can you begin to package this up as a service or a product? How can you begin to label what your movement is? My movement is the Activate movement. Why? Because I was the president and the founder of the Procrastination Committee Corporation, procrastination.tv, you name it, I had it all from GoDaddy. But this time, I had to, I want you to write down. Number 5 is more of an action for you. What actions and steps do you need to take in order to make 1, 2, 3, and 4 work for you? What actions and what steps are you going to take to make 1, 2, and 3, and 4 work for you? So right now, write down on your piece of paper. We need a break? Okay. Do they need a break? Okay, so write down, what's the name of your movement? My movement is the Activate movement, and it's to help women build their own platforms without asking for permission from anybody else. It's for women to take action, inspired action, and do what they know they've been called to do, whatever it is, to stop searching for the purpose and understand that they're already in it. The Activate movement is to push women to speak their truth and stand in their power against all odds. With death, divorce, with the knock upside the head, with you leaving the house with lights turned off and your car being towed. It's about activating, because it's not about you. It's about the person who needs it most that can change their generation. And when you do that, your generation changes as well. I hope that you all can stay connected with me. I'm at LaShandaCross.com. I have wonderful things that are happening there, programs. I actually have a 6-week intensive the last time I'll be teaching it, because I'll be training coaches now to do this Activate stuff. But contact me. Email me, LaShanda at LaShandaCross.com, if you're interested in finding out about how to be a part of this Activate movement. We need more powerful women. And I thank you so much, LaShanda Henry, for this opportunity. And I hope you ladies had a good time, because now I have to run. LaShanda, I have to run. Are you there?
I'm absolutely here. Thank you so much. I laughed, I cried. I think it's safe to say that everybody else did the same. You are absolutely beautiful. I love you.
I love you too, babe. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies, stay connected with LaShanda. She has to run. She's got quite a bit to do. But if you've got questions for her, definitely at LaShanda Speaks is her Twitter, so that she can stay connected with you and vice versa. Are you there? Are you still there, LaShanda? Any last words before you run?
Woo! We have shared so much. One thing I would leave them with is this. I love this mantra, and I want you ladies to remember this. In your journey, and as you get the information throughout the rest of the day and the week, understanding that when you begin to pursue your movement, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And remember that. That's
Amen.
It.
Thank you, LaShanda.
Thank you.
Listen, ladies, I'm doing whatever I need to do to have LaShanda come out to the Power Circle Conference in North Carolina. It's going to happen. So by the grace of God, we're going to make that happen. But again, LaShanda, thank you so much. It's been truly a blessing to have you inside the Power Circle today. Ladies, I hope you got a wealth of information from LaShanda. You see how rock star amazing she is. And I don't know if you can imagine this, but this is what it's like in the Power Circle for the next 9 hours. You're really just going to be inspired and motivated to move forward in whatever you're aiming to do. At this point, it is 12:52, so I want to give you guys an opportunity to stretch, breathe, relax, relate. I needed that breathe session from LaShanda, because the tears were coming. I mean, it resonated with me, what she was saying. I know what that feels like. I won't go into it here, but I will say that we all go through things. That doesn't mean that those things will have to stop us. You have to move forward. Do not let your circumstances dictate your success. That's something that I truly believe in. So like I said, take a break for a minute, and then we'll jump back in to the Power Circle. Okay, so while you all are breaking, I am going to get myself ready and prepare for the next speaker. Katrina, I believe that is you, the wonderful Katrina. She is a part of my local fabulous 5 Sister Sins Power Circle. You know, I used to be in New York. Now I'm in North Carolina, and for many years I've been doing a lot alone, and always begrudgingly saying to my hubby, I miss my friends and my family in New York. I need some friends. I need a life. And you know, when mommy's happy, just like LaShanda said, when mama's happy, nobody else is happy. And by the grace of God, I was able to start doing what I call my Sister Friend Socials here in North Carolina, and saying, you know what, I'm going to start doing some networking. And in the process of doing that, the Fabulous 5 was born, you know. Katrina, Laree, Rhonda, Anissa. just, you put it out there to meet people and connect, and you don't know who God has for you. And these together us five, just beautiful women coming together and not only networking, but collaborating and crying, going to each other's houses and just kind of making things happen for each other. So you need that. If you don't have one, I definitely recommend that you create some sort of immediate power circle for yourself. And even if you say, LaShanda, there's nobody here, just saying it and speaking it and trying to be proactive about it, God will bring them into your life because they are there. It's just for you to kind of open up yourself to receive them. So, Katrina, if you are on the line, I'm trying to find you. I've got quite a few ladies here on the call right now, but let's see if I can find you and attempt to unmute you. I think I found you. Again, ladies, I definitely want you to make sure that you make the most of the next and final last 90 days of this year. So definitely join me, my Unblock Your Blessings. It's a free 90-day challenge. Essentially, I have been working on 12 steps to help you really understand the strategies that I've used to unblock my blessings. LaShanda has talked about that quite a bit in her life. I believe we all have to figure out what we need to do to move forward, and sometimes the thing that's blocking us is ourselves, our mindset, our resistance. So figuring out how to move past that is something that I want to share in that 12-part audio series over the course of the next 90 days. I love doing challenges. It's an opportunity for us to get things done in a set time and have an accountability team, right? So unblockyourblessings.com is where you can sign up and get information about that. And, of course, for me, Unblock Your Blessings starts with the Back to Business Conference today. This is kind of the kickoff for our 90-day time together, and it all culminates in January 2014. I am having the second Sister Sons Power Circle at the Aloft Hotel in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Katrina, who is going to be speaking today, is also going to be speaking live at the conference. And like I said, hopefully we will also have LaShanda. I loved having her here when she came out to Charlotte to speak. Not for my event, but for someone else's, but she's just a powerhouse. So being able to see her in person and hear what she has to say is wonderful, as well as Katrina, the business liberation strategist, has a wealth of information to share with you guys today on your pricing, packaging, and positioning. So if you're interested in the Power Circle Conference, go to powercircle.sistersense.com for more information about that.